Low-key, half the reason I want to work on my calisthenics skills is so I can recreate moves and scenes from animes. I'm not sorry. Do I have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology? Yes. Do I know of more optimal ways to reach my fitness goals? Also, yes. Will I be doing those? No. Why? Because I know I would not stick to them, and therefore it is not optimal for me. She's beautiful. To me. It is January 2026, and you know what that means? Yes, I have set a fresh batch of goals for the coming year. Amongst them is, of course, completing a proper calisthenics routine, because hear me out. I've done calisthenics in the past as an add-on to my weight training routine, but I've come to find that calisthenics is extremely difficult for me as a person. Something about going to the gym and going, pick up heavy object, put object down, is good in my little monkey brain. No matter what weight I'm under, I'll be pushing it, arms are shaking, but to support my own body weight, it's a lot on me systemically. It's emotionally fatiguing. And I've been slacking off on not just the calisthenics, but also the weightlifting. You know, I graduated college, I moved back home, I work 84 hours a week in a mine, I've started a massage practice on the side. You know, I'm a busy girl. I'm still doing my jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to see friends. I'm doing this as a fun little hobby. And I've just noticed I'm missing a little bit of that conditioning in my life. Gotta strengthen the muscles, support these joints. And a couple old sport injuries, but none of the injuries are currently paining me. My schedule has kind of stabilized into what it's gonna be. So what better time than now than to start to get back into a exercise routine? This isn't a just be disciplined sort of lecture about exercise. This is calisthenics for people with jobs, responsibilities, and realistic energy levels, because listen, sometimes I'm exhausted. We're not chasing perfection with this, we're just chasing consistency. So if you are also thinking about starting calisthenics in 2026, feel free to join in with me. This is the plan. So I'm considering this as day 0 for starting. I, in the past, have gone on and done programs and not done a sort of baseline 0 day, and then I got to the end and I kind of regretted it a little, because yes, I knew I made progress, but I didn't know how much progress. It wasn't particularly motivating. So this time I'm going to do things a little different. We are starting day 0 with our baseline stats. This isn't to kick ourselves while we're down. This is just to get an idea of where we're starting so we can compare it to the end. Starting points are only embarrassing if you never move past them, unless you have a valid reason for doing so. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to choose, we'll say, 4 to 6 movements that you care about. You are going to perform that exercise after doing a good warm-up and see how many reps you can get in a row, or how long you can hold it if it's more of a static isometric hold. You're going to stop before you hurt yourself. Now, yes, you do want to push yourself at this point to get a proper baseline, but you also don't want to injure yourself. If it's the first time you've worked out in a while, you might be a little sore tomorrow. I usually tend to stop before my form breaks down, because I only care about completing the exercises with good form. If you want to go after your form breaks down, that's your tennis elbow, boo-boo. I don't recommend it, but you can. But I don't recommend it. If you can't do a full push-up, if you can't do a full tricep dip, if you can't do a full pull-up, whatever it may be, use regressions, do the moves assisted, use bands, whatever you have to do, because we all start somewhere. I honestly, at this point, I don't think I can still do a full pull-up. I've only ever managed to do like 1 in a row at a time at any given point in my life, unless I was doing it like a band-assisted L-sit sort of pull-up deal. And that's okay, because why? We're gonna progress as we go. Same thing with dips. Full dips on the bars? Never been able to do those in my life. Only the negatives. But that's just a long way of saying use the regressions. 4th thing we're gonna do when we're taking these baselines is to write it all down. Be super specific, reps, times, assisted, unassisted, how you felt while doing the movement, where it kind of broke down. That way you can go back and say you only complete the same amount of push-ups at the start as you did at the end. Maybe it felt easier at the end than it did at the start. So here's your chance. Pause this now, get out of bed, get off the couch and take your baselines. Or, you can just keep watching, no judgment. I'm about to do mine, and I am in fact fully in my PJs, slippered up. That's the best part about doing calisthenics and exercising at home. You can do it in your PJs. Although I might have to switch to grippy socks. For full transparency, here are my baseline stats. Like I said, no judgment. This is where we are starting from. It's been a while since we've trained, and that's okay. But it's harder to get to where you're going if you don't know where you're starting. And then once you get your baseline, you can set out some more specific calisthenics related goals for the year, broader than just like complete a 12-week calisthenics program. You can have specific goals you're working towards in this program. There's so many to choose from. It really depends on what you're interested in. It could be more of like an endurance goal, a strength goal, a skill goal. Up to you. Some of them you might hit earlier than you expected, and some of them might turn out to be more difficult than you initially thought, and you might not hit them at all, but you will have made progress in the direction of completing that goal. So hopefully, once the 12 weeks is done, you can just revamp the program a little bit and keep working towards it. So, for example, some of my goals, of which I have many. I've always wanted to be able to do 20 push-ups in a row. I don't know if I've ever been able to do that because I've never actually tried. And I just think it would be fun to be able to drop and give 20 really nice push-ups. I also would like to be able to do a pull-up again, unassisted. Ideally, I would like to be able to do 3 in a row. Not sure if 3 in a row is feasible for this 12-week initial timeline I've given myself. So I'm going to say a single unassisted pull-up. I'd like to hold a 10-second L-sit, do 3 pistol squats on each leg, a 30-second hollow body hold, mostly because I find core work very difficult. I might be able to do this one now. I probably can't. I didn't actually test my hollow body hold, so I'll have to go back and do that. But that is on the list. And I would like to be able to do a 5-second handstand. And of course, I'm working towards unassisted dips, but it's not really a goal I have to do an unassisted dip. It's more like a necessary strength progression that I know I should hit to help keep my body in balance, Those are some of the initial ones. Off the top of the dome, I have a longer list written somewhere with other skills I would like to do, but they're not realistic for a little 12-week progression. Even a proper handstand might be a little outside the realm of the 12-week goal, but even if I could start on the wall and take my feet off the wall and hold that for 5 seconds, because I'd really like to be able to press up into a handstand, but that sort of strength is not something I'm going to get with the effort I'm going to put in these next 12 weeks. Because here is the structure. Here's what I'm thinking. I work 12-hour shifts, days and nights, and there is a little bit of physicality to my job, and I'm a massage therapist, so my arms, my hands, my elbows, my shoulders can't be busted up when I am working. So I'm not going to be training to complete failure every day, and I have a very, very busy schedule. So I plan to do a push-pull leg split twice a week for 30 minutes each session, the first 5 minutes of which is going to be spent on warm-up, and then the next 5 minutes or so is going to be spent on skill training while I'm still fresh, and then the rest of it will be spent on strength conditioning training, and then a little bit of stretching and cool down at the end. I could have chosen to do 3 times a week for an hour long with my energy levels after night shift and how fresh I need my body to be for my jobs and jiu-jitsu. That's just not going to fly. Perhaps you can do it. If you can do 3 1-hour-long sessions instead of 6 30-minute ones, by all means, float your boat. This is just what I'm thinking will work best for my schedule. If I have to tweak it by week 3, I'll tweak it then, but I'm going to try it for a month, see how it feels, see how many I miss, see how many I make, and how my body is feeling. If you want, in a future video, I can break down my actual split exercises, reps, sets. Just let me know if that's something you would like to see down in the comments below. If you took your baseline and you're going to be following along, also let me know. You can like, comment, subscribe if you want to join in, or just subscribe to see if I even manage to finish out the 12 weeks without grievously injuring myself, which I should be able to avoid. Knock on wood. I am wishing us all the best in our 2026 goals, and I will see you all in the next one.